Okay, so here we are in our exam prep program. This is a grade calculator for a teacher. Well, I'll demo it for you, and then we can look at the written instructions and then start looking at the code. So our first input here is asking how many students are in the class. Note that we say it must be between 1 and 24 students. So watch what happens if I enter 25 students or 0 students. So this is in an input validation loop where we are checking and making sure we're within the boundaries of the number of students in the class. So I'll enter 3 students here, and now we're on to another loop. This loop is going to get input for the 3 students, specifically their midterm and final exam scores. So let's say student number 1 got 90% on the midterm and 95% on the final. That student is going to have an A in the class, as we know. And our program is going to compute that. Okay, so let's say student 2 gets 85% on the midterm and 89% on the final. So in the 80s range, that would be a B student. And then student 3, let's say we'll put that student in the C range, okay, in the 70s. So at the end, we see this final report lined up in nice columns. And then this will tell us how many students and the percentage of students fall into each of the grade categories. So you saw that we had 1A, 1B, 1C student, and the percentages are also computed. So that's really what this program does. It gets the grades from the teacher, it averages the grades, it assigns a letter grade, and then it displays this report at the end. So with that in mind, let's look at the written instructions, and then we'll start diving into the code. Okay, so let's take a look at these instructions here. All right, first and foremost, we're going to write a function. This is a huge part of the program here, and really you want to take care in getting this right at the onset, because if you take a wrong turn in writing the function, it's going to come back to haunt you later in the program, okay? So, and you know what, one thing I noticed in all my years of teaching is that students really struggle, a lot of students, even very good students, struggle with translating the instructions, the written English instructions, to actual code. So you need to do this slowly, all right? So for example, we're told to write a function called getLetterGrade. Okay, well, let's get started with that. Okay, so we're going to define a function called getLetterGrade. Okay, and okay, so we're not done. We're off to a start here. This function will have 2 parameters called mid and fin to represent the student's midterm and final grades. Okay, so now I have the parameter list. So that's really what it's about, getting the function name that you're told to use and then putting the parameters in place. So let's get those parameters in place. So we're told that this function will have 2 parameters called mid and fin. Okay, so that's the function header. All right, let's read on. Okay. So inside your getLetterGrade function, you will compute the average of the student's midterm and final scores contained in the mid and fin parameters and put that average in a variable. Okay, let me do that. So I'm just gonna average these 2 scores together, mid and fin. Okay, add them together and divide by 2, and then that result is going to go into a variable. Maybe I'll call the variable AVG. Okay, whatever you want. AVG equals, and then, you know, we have to do the parentheses here, of course, but this will do it. So that's going to average out those scores and put the result in a variable. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, now we're going to code a branching structure, an if, elif, to return a letter grade based on the student's average. Okay, so I already have this pre-coded, so you don't have to watch me do it, but it would look like this. Okay, I need to be careful with my indentation here. Okay, so if the average is greater than or equal to 90, we'll return an A. Okay. If it's greater than or equal to 80, we'll return a B, and so on down the line. So you can see that, the return statement is very important. That's really a huge part of this function, is not only taking in the parameters, the midterm and the final, and averaging them, but returning that letter grade back to the main program. Okay. So with our function in place, I'm going to end this video, and then we'll pick up the main program in the next video.